Hey guys, I'm Wayne Houchin and welcome to this special lecture edition DVD for Counterfeit Hollingworth, my one piece at a time toner restored car. Now this video and this routine is something that you can only learn in my live lectures. It's something that I've only been offering to people during my live lectures. And as I mentioned during the lecture, it's a routine that I originally developed back in 2002, specifically to use with my business card, as a way of handing out my business card after a performance. However, I know that many of you will prefer to perform this using a playing card. So throughout this visual guide and this walkthrough, I will use a regular bicycle playing card. Now the strength of this routine lies in the fact that it can be done inches away from your spectators. Your audience can see that your hands are empty, there's no extra pieces, and there's no palming. This is a routine that looks and feels effortless. And when your performance looks and feels effortless, your audience perceives real magic. Now this video is meant to supplement whatever notes you have from the lecture. We're going to walk through the entire routine very slowly with the camera over my shoulder so you can follow along with each step. Due to the kinetic element of the moves, I know that this is going to make learning this routine much easier. So grab a deck of cards and let's get started. Now, I really started using this as a way of giving away my business card when I was doing bar magic. It was less of a bar, more of a nightclub. They had a huge dance floor, a very loud DJ, which meant that the magic I performed had to be visual. I couldn't really say very much. So I started the evening by performing a floating dollar. I'd walk around the bar levitating this dollar. I then went around and I would perform various tricks for the different groups of people, everyone at the bar, the people at the tables. And when I saw a group was getting ready to leave, or when I was ready to leave, I'd go around to the groups that I'd been performing for, and I'd walk up with my business card. Now in this case, we have the Jack of Diamonds, but I'd walk right up to the people I'd been performing for, and I would just, without saying anything, I'd start to fold the card up. Now the interesting thing about walking up to a group of people that I'd been doing magic for throughout the night, while there's very loud music playing and people dancing on the dance floor, and starting to fold up my business card is eventually they start to pay attention, they get very curious. I would then start to rip the card up. I'd rip off one piece, I'd rip off two, and finally, I'd rip the card into quarters, 4 different pieces. Now, check this out. You can see this from the front, but you can also see it from the back. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different pieces. Take a look. I'll start with the first piece. Watch. If I just touch it, that piece sticks, and you can immediately turn this around and let your volunteer touch it right there. You can feel that the piece is actually back together. The next piece. The next piece we'll do a little differently. Watch. If I just touch them, just like that, the piece sticks. Now there's one piece left, the last piece. Now the last piece is harder because instead of 2 edges, one edge, we actually have 2 edges. Why break tradition? Like most magicians before me, I need something a little extra to finish that last piece. I actually need fire. Oops, I have it here somewhere. A lighter. Now when I perform, I would borrow this lighter from someone in the audience. I'd have them hold it out and light it. And I'd take the card and I'd just run the ripped edges right along the flame. And you can see it actually blackens a little bit. And if I open this up, you can now see that that last piece has actually been fused right back into position. Now when I did this with my business card, I would have my contact information below the line, my name above the fold, so that they got this great souvenir that they could then take home. And I actually met people, I've met many people afterwards, you know, a week or a month or even a year. One person I met a year later, and they pulled this card out of their wallet. They had my business card with this piece that looked like it had been fused right back into position. So that's Counterfeit Hollingworth. Grab a deck of cards and let's get started. Now you remember from the lecture that Counterfeit Hollingworth uses a duplicate. So in this case we have 2 Queen of Diamonds. We can set one aside because the first thing we need to do is set up our final card, the card we switch out at the very end. So we do that by folding this card in half both ways. And now we'll turn it and we'll fold it in half lengthwise, again creasing it both ways. Now if you look, this upper right corner, this is going to be the final piece that restores. So we want to accentuate that piece. We want to make it stand out. So we're going to rip here, and we'll turn the card and rip here. Now we'll fold the card like this, and we'll rip in the corners. So what we're doing right here is we're separating all the edges, every corner of that particular piece, so that we can make it look like that piece has been fused back on. So now we've ripped the edges, we're going to fold the card, grab a lighter, and we're actually going to burn the edges just a little bit. Again, this is just to accentuate this piece. So if we burn very lightly, we can actually blacken that corner. And what happens is a little bit of that corner actually burns away, and it just kind of rounds that piece out. So we'll fold the card like this, we'll turn it this way, and we're going to do the same thing with the other corner. We burn it for just a minute. Now you don't want to let it burn too long because it will continue to burn away after you put the flame out. So now we'll fold the card again, and we're going to do the same thing with the middle. We'll burn there, we'll fold the card lengthwise, and we'll do the same thing. Again, we're just carving out those corners in the middle of the card. I now like to take the lighter and I just run it along the crease of that piece. I'm just kind of blackening that edge just a little bit to make it stand out. I'll fold it this way and I'll do the same thing with this side. And that's it. We now have our final card, and if you look, this piece looks like it's been fused back on. It looks like it was a separate piece. And when you're happy with your card, fold it up like this, folding it down and then in. This card goes into your left-hand pocket while your lighter goes into your right-hand pocket. And at this point, you're set up and ready to perform Counterfeit Hollingworth. Now, when you're ready to perform, you're going to take your card and hold it so it's facing you. And the first thing we're going to do is fold it up. So we'll fold it first this way. We'll crease it down the side. Now we'll open it up and crease it this way. We're now going to fold it lengthwise, but this is very important. At the very top here, you're going to pinch, skip the rest, pinch in the middle, and crease the rest of the way down. This is very important that you don't crease the top of the card up there, right there. We're now going to open it up and fold it back on itself and do the same thing. Pinch at the very top, skip that middle part, and pinch in the middle. Now this is important because throughout the routine, we need the center of that area right there to be strong. And if we crease it, it'll be too weak. So now we're going to rip off our first piece. Our first piece is this upper right-hand corner. So you can rip down, turn the card, and rip that piece all the way off. Now hold it in your hand just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate that piece this way. And we're going to cover it with our fingers. Now, as your right hand comes in front of the card, your right thumb is going to push that flap over. It's going to close it. Your left thumb moves out of the way and holds the extra piece behind the card, and you immediately rip down. Now, from the front, this is a very convincing illusion. Because you're actually tearing, they can hear the sound, and it looks exactly like you're ripping that piece off. But in reality, that second piece has just been folded behind the card. Now, ripping this piece off happens very quickly. It looks like this. You just rip down and pop it off, and immediately you cover with your fingers. Now, at this point, you're going to rotate both pieces. The card in your right hand, you rotate counterclockwise. The card in your left hand, you rotate clockwise. Place the single piece on top. And you're now going to rip up just a little bit, maybe a quarter of an inch, half an inch or so. You stop after ripping that far, readjust, and now you rip down. And you're not going to rip all the way down. You don't want to rip this piece completely off. You leave a little bit hanging on in the middle there. At this point, your left fingers fold that flap over like this, and you snap that single piece forward, allowing your fingernails to pop against the card. Now let's take a look at that again, this time at speed. First you rip up, then you rip down, you fold the card over, and snap the single piece forward. Now at this point, if you relax your left thumb, you will see that a gap opens up right here. Take your left index finger and put it inside the gap. As your right hand comes in front, you spin this around like so, and the single piece goes in front. I know that's complex, we'll do that again. You've just snapped this piece off, you open up the gap, and flip those around like so. And if you take your left thumb and index finger and pull like this, you will reveal that piece there. And you'll see it bows out down here. You just want to crease that, like so. And if you hold the cards like this in your left hand with your thumb at the bottom, you have a beautiful display of 4 separate pieces. You can flip through these, and they can see 4 distinct edges. You're now ready to put them back together. Now when you're ready to restore the card after displaying the pieces, your right hand comes up and you're going to grip the packet with both hands. Your fingers covered from the front, just long enough for your left thumb to bend this piece down, and it stays hidden behind your fingers. Your right hand now moves away with the single piece and you rotate it clockwise like this. Now you're going to open your middle finger there, but keep your ring finger and your index finger covering the top and the bottom to disguise the fact that the border is in the wrong place. You bring this piece in to apparently stick it on, and as you do, your right fingers completely close and cover, your left thumb pushes that down, and your right hand moves down like this. Now notice that you're not palming this hidden card. Your hand doesn't move completely away. It remains holding on to that bottom edge. You now move up, take the piece like this, and now you can bring it down and display. And you can let them feel the crease right here, and they can feel that these 2 pieces have been restored. And now for the second piece. You once again pull the single piece away, and you now need to get rid of it. I like to take it and put it in my mouth, or you can set it off to the side. This piece here is the next piece we're going to restore, and as you can see, it's barely hanging onto the card. So here's what we do. When we're ready to restore it, you're going to open it like this and angle it downward. You angle it downward like this so that you can clip it in between your left index and middle fingers. This allows you to open both hands, rotate, and display. Now if you want to, instead of angling this piece downward, you can angle it up like this and display like this. This is also nice. It really looks like that piece is separate from the rest of the cards, while at the same time you can show your hands completely empty. Now when you're ready to restore, you angle this upward so that they can see it's ripped, and you slowly bring it down, as if you're slowly restoring that torn edge. Use your right ring finger to push this back corner up just a bit. This helps to lock this piece in. Rub your thumb across the crease as if you're restoring it, and you have a beautiful restoration. This piece sells the entire routine. Turn your right hand palm outward, grab the card by that piece, and flip it over. And at this point, you rotate. It looks like you're tugging on that piece, but you're not actually tugging, you're just rotating between your fingers. You flip the card around, rotate it a few times, and it really looks like a miracle. This is a beautiful moment. Now for the last piece. You bring the last piece out and you explain that the last piece is harder because there are 2 edges to restore instead of 1. So we need to do something a little different. You fold the card like this and in, and you have your little packet. At this point, you're ready to do Juan Tamaris's crossing the gaze switch. In your left pocket, you should have the card we made up at the very beginning, and in your right pocket, you have your lighter. So here's how the crossing the gaze switch works. You ask to borrow a lighter, and as you do, you reach down into your pocket as if you're looking for your lighter. You seem surprised that you don't find it in there and you don't feel it. But what I've done here is I've actually palmed out and pulled out that folded up card. I keep it pressed against my pants pocket to move my hand around, which creates the impression that my hand is empty. Now the crossing the gaze switch works because your gaze, where you're looking, is stronger and more important than what your hands are doing. So with your head and your eyes, you now look down to your right pocket. And as you do, your right hand moves to the left, and you apparently place the torn card into your left hand. But in reality, you secretly palmed that torn card, and you simply reveal the restored card. Press it against your pant pocket as you apparently suddenly realize that your lighter is here. You now reach into your pocket, leave the torn card as you pull out the lighter. Now I know this switch is scary, but when you start performing this, you will be surprised at how easily this goes over. As soon as you ask for a lighter, people become distracted. They begin checking their own pockets and looking around for a lighter. Now if you perform this confidently and smoothly and call attention to the right places at the right time with your eyes and your gaze, you can get away with this switch in almost any situation. Now for a more detailed description of this switch, please take a look at Juan Tamaris's book, The 5 Points in Magic. And all that you have left to do is to reveal the restored card. Now you notice that you can see the edges here are a little black from when we set it up. You want to keep those covered until you light the lighter and start running the card through the flame. Now you can light the lighter, but I like to give the lighter to a spectator or use a spectator's lighter and have them light it. And when you're ready, slowly open it up and they can see the burnt edges. And this is a great moment when you open it all the way and they can see that that last piece has somehow been fused right back into place. And this is such a great giveaway. Instead of completely restoring the card back to normal with no tears and no creases, you leave them evidence of the magic that just happened. And that is Counterfeit Hollingworth. Well, that's it. I want to thank you guys very much for your interest in Counterfeit Hollingworth. If you have any questions about this routine, please don't hesitate to email me, wayne@waynehouchin.com. And for more information about myself and my magic, you can visit me online at www.waynehouchin.com. Thanks again for your interest, and I hope this routine does for you what it's done for me. Enjoy.